Welcome back to Global Facts, bringing you the latest news from around the world. I bet you didn't know there's a hidden loophole quietly transforming global commerce right under our noses. In the intricate world of international trade, there exists a little-known provision that is quietly transforming the way goods move across borders: the de minimis rule. This rule, once a technicality in customs law, has now become the backbone of e-commerce giants like Shein and Temu, fueling their explosive growth and changing how millions of Americans shop online. The de minimis rule allows individual packages valued under $800 to enter the US without paying import tariffs or facing the usual strict customs inspections. This effectively creates a fast lane for direct-to-consumer shipments, especially from manufacturing powerhouses like China. While traditional US retailers must pay tariffs and navigate complex regulations on bulk imports, companies like Shein and Temu have found a way to bypass these costs. By shipping millions of small individual packages straight to American doorsteps, they avoid the fees that their competitors face, one package at a time. The impact has been staggering. In 2023 alone, over 1 billion de minimis packages entered the US, a dramatic surge from just 150 million in 2016. Shein and Temu are responsible for a significant portion of this tidal wave, reshaping the logistics and economics of global retail. This loophole gives these e-commerce giants a massive cost advantage, allowing them to undercut prices and outpace traditional retailers. But it's also raising tough questions about the fairness of global commerce, sparking heated debates in Congress, and dividing opinions among consumers who enjoy low prices but worry about the broader impact. The central question remains, is the de minimis rule an outdated loophole that's harming American businesses and workers, or is it a legitimate tool that brings affordable goods and greater choice to consumers in a globalized world? As the debate intensifies and policymakers weigh potential reforms, the future of this powerful exemption hangs in the balance. Its fate could fundamentally reshape the landscape of global retail and international trade for years to come, affecting businesses, consumers, and economies around the world. The de minimis rule was originally designed to simplify customs by letting low-value shipments bypass duties and paperwork. This approach aimed to reduce administrative burdens for customs officials and speed up the flow of small, low-risk goods across borders. It was a practical solution for a world where international shipping was less common, and most cross-border packages were gifts or business samples, not everyday purchases. For decades, the de minimis threshold covered only small gifts and samples, rarely affecting the average consumer. But in 2016, the US made a dramatic change, raising the threshold from $200 to $800. This move was intended to modernize trade, making it easier for businesses and individuals to import goods without getting bogged down in red tape. However, this well-intentioned change had unexpected consequences. Instead of just streamlining trade, it opened the floodgates for a new era of direct-to-consumer e-commerce. Suddenly, it became much easier for overseas sellers to ship products directly to American doorsteps, bypassing traditional import channels. Today, the US boasts one of the world's highest de minimis limits, far above the EU's €150 or Canada's $20. This huge gap has made the US a uniquely attractive market for global e-commerce players, especially those looking to avoid tariffs and complex customs procedures. Chinese e-commerce giants like Shein and Temu quickly recognized the opportunity. By shipping goods directly to American consumers in small packages, they could avoid the 15–20% tariffs that apply to bulk imports, giving them a significant price advantage over domestic retailers and traditional importers. By carefully keeping each package under the $800 threshold, these companies legally bypass duties and most customs scrutiny. This strategy allows them to move massive volumes of goods quickly and efficiently with minimal regulatory friction. The result is a business model built for speed, scale, and minimal oversight, one that has rapidly transformed the landscape of cross-border commerce. But this model is now facing growing criticism and intense scrutiny from US policymakers, who worry about its impact on domestic businesses, tax revenues, and consumer safety. What began as a simple trade facilitation tool has evolved into a powerful engine for global e-commerce, a strategic weapon that is reshaping how goods move around the world and challenging the rules of international trade. Shein and Temu's real power lies in Guangzhou, China, a city teeming with thousands of small suppliers and factories. They connect directly with these vendors, using data analytics to spot trends and place small, rapid orders. If a style takes off, they scale up instantly. If not, they move on, minimizing risk and waste. This agility lets them add thousands of new items daily, keeping their sites fresh and prices low. For suppliers, it's a direct pipeline to US consumers, but the relentless price pressure can mean poor working conditions and little oversight. The fragmented supply chain makes it nearly impossible to trace materials or verify labor standards. This opacity is a growing concern for labor advocates and regulators worldwide. Shein and Temu have mastered direct-to-consumer shipping by treating every order as a separate import. Each package is valued under $800, avoiding tariffs that bulk US imports must pay. Traditional retailers pay duties on entire shipments. Shein and Temu pay none by splitting orders into thousands of small parcels. This loophole is the foundation of their low prices and rapid growth. Advanced data analytics and agile supply chains let them predict demand, minimize inventory, and keep costs down. Without the de minimis rule, their business model would collapse under shipping and tariff costs. Together, they ship nearly 2 million packages to the US daily. Their success has forced US competitors and lawmakers to take notice. The question now, can this system last? The de minimis loophole has upended American retail, creating a playing field tilted in favor of foreign e-commerce giants. This little-known provision allows individual packages valued under $800 to enter the US without paying tariffs or facing the same scrutiny as bulk imports. For companies like Shein and Temu, this means they can ship millions of small parcels directly to American doorsteps, bypassing the costs and regulations that domestic retailers must navigate every day. US retailers importing in bulk face tariffs, inspections, and higher costs, expenses Shein and Temu avoid entirely. While American businesses must comply with complex customs procedures and pay significant fees, foreign e-commerce platforms exploit the loophole to keep their prices low and their operations lean. This creates a significant cost advantage for overseas sellers, making it nearly impossible for many US retailers to compete on price or speed. This disparity drives store closures, job losses, and billions in lost tariff revenue for the US Treasury. As more consumers turn to these foreign platforms, local businesses are forced to shut their doors, and communities lose vital sources of employment and tax revenue. The economic ripple effects are felt nationwide, from small towns to major cities. Critics say American consumers and taxpayers are subsidizing foreign platforms that don't invest in US jobs or infrastructure. While these companies profit from American demand, they contribute little to the communities they serve, leaving the burden of lost jobs and declining infrastructure to US citizens and local governments. The flood of small, unchecked packages also raises the risk of counterfeits and unsafe products slipping through. With millions of parcels arriving daily, it's nearly impossible for customs officials to thoroughly inspect each one, opening the door to dangerous goods and intellectual property theft. Agencies can't inspect every parcel, leaving gaps in consumer safety and intellectual property protection. The sheer volume overwhelms the system, making it easier for bad actors to exploit weaknesses and for harmful products to reach American homes. The result, a market where domestic companies struggle to compete and consumers face hidden risks. Small businesses, once the backbone of American retail, are now fighting for survival in an environment stacked against them, while shoppers may unknowingly purchase unsafe or counterfeit goods. Calls for reform are growing louder as the costs of this loophole become impossible to ignore. Lawmakers, business owners, and consumer advocates are demanding action to level the playing field and protect American interests. The stakes are high for the future of American retail. Without meaningful change, the landscape of Main Street America could be altered forever, with lasting consequences for jobs, communities, and the nation's economic security. The de minimis loophole isn't just an economic issue, it's an ethical one. Lawmakers and human rights groups warn that it enables goods made with forced labor, especially from China's Xinjiang region, to enter the US unchecked. The Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act bans such imports, but bulk importers face strict scrutiny while de minimis packages largely escape oversight. Shein's vast opaque supplier network makes tracing cotton and labor practices nearly impossible. Despite public pledges, critics say Shein's self-audits lack transparency and independent verification. This loophole undermines US law and allows potentially tainted goods into American homes. Reforming the exemption is seen as a moral imperative to uphold human rights and ethical trade. The rise of Shein and Temu has sparked rare bipartisan agreement in Washington. The de minimis loophole must be closed or reformed. Lawmakers argue it gives Chinese companies an unfair edge and undermines U.S. businesses and labor protections. The De Minimis Reciprocity Act, introduced in 2023, would bar countries like China from the $800 exemption. The Biden administration and Customs and Border Protection are also ramping up scrutiny of small packages. Even former President Trump has called for ending the exemption for Chinese goods. In response, Shein and Temu are lobbying hard and diversifying manufacturing to countries like Brazil and Turkey. The political momentum suggests the days of unfettered de minimis access are numbered. The next chapter in global e-commerce is about to be written. Experts agree. The de minimis rule, designed for a pre-digital era, can't handle today's e-commerce reality. It gives foreign companies a subsidy, harms U.S. retailers, and costs the Treasury billions. Reform is inevitable, whether by lowering the threshold or excluding countries like China. Labor advocates say self-auditing isn't enough. Independent supply chain verification is needed. Closing the loophole would level the playing field and uphold laws like the Eager Forced Labor Prevention Act. While reform may mean higher prices and slower shipping, it's seen as necessary for fair competition and ethical sourcing. The U.S. faces a choice: cheap goods or a fair, transparent market. Change is coming, and it will reshape global retail. The coming crackdown on the de minimis loophole will force a seismic shift in global supply chains. Shein and Temu may lose their tariff-free edge, threatening their current business model. To adapt, they're exploring manufacturing in countries with U.S. trade agreements like Turkey, Brazil, and Mexico. They may also shift to bulk imports and U.S.-based warehouses, but this means higher costs and more scrutiny. The era of ultra-cheap, direct-from-China fashion is ending. For consumers, this could mean higher prices and a new awareness of the true cost of fast fashion. For the industry, it's a chance to restore fair competition and ethical standards. The story of Shein and Temu is a lesson in the unintended consequences of trade policy, and a sign that global commerce is about to change.